Howdy folks, and welcome back to another video. I know it's been a while since I've made a video, and that this isn't my usual content, but today I'm going to be talking about My Singing Monsters. If you don't like that kind of content, feel free to skip this one. I'll be making more Animal Jam content starting in December. That being said, let's get into it. Today, I specifically want to talk about My Singing Monsters: The Lost Landscape, which, if you didn't already know, it's a pretty big fan game in the community made by a bunch of community creators, voice actors, animators, and artists, and spearheaded by a pretty popular creator by the name of Raw Zebra. To my knowledge, this fan game was a long time coming and has been in development for literal years. I was never super into it during its development, but I definitely remember seeing a bunch of different update videos online and hearing it talked about quite a bit. It was one of those things that stayed in the back of my mind as something that I thought was pretty cool and I'd check out when it came out. And recently, it did come out, but not for a long time. To say that The Lost Landscape was a labor of love would be an absolute understatement. The game was gorgeous. It had a huge cast of monsters, both pre-existing and fan-made, gorgeous animations, beautiful songs, and it was just a fully fleshed out fan game, far more than I could have ever expected. I never got a chance to play it, considering the fact that my laptop can barely run anything but Microsoft Word, but I definitely watched a lot of other people play it, and it was very interesting and lit a light in the community that we haven't seen in a long time. That was not very long-lived, however. As of yesterday of recording this video, Raw Zebra received an email from Big Blue Bubble essentially telling them to cease and desist, and that their use of their IPs and characters went against not only their terms of service, but also copyright law, and infringed on their rights. You can pause and read the full email on screen if you'd like, but essentially they were told that they had crossed a line as to what is considered fan-made content, and that they were telling them to either remove all official My Singing Monsters content from their game, including monsters, soundtracks, etc., or remove the game entirely. And complying with Big Blue Bubble's wishes, as for now, the Lost Landscapes link has been removed, and it is no longer accessible. Also, as of recording, the team behind the Lost Landscapes have not yet decided whether or not they will scrap the game entirely, or put it on extended hiatus in order to remove all official My Singing Monsters assets, and essentially remake a lot of the game from the ground up. Editing Sam here. Actually, there was a post made saying that they will, in fact, be continuing to make the game. They just need to remove all of the current official My Singing Monster assets and whatnot. We don't know how long that'll take, and it could change in the future, but this is just what I know now, after recording. Why didn't Big Blue Bubble contact their team earlier, while it was still in development, to stop all of this from happening? And why did they even take it down in the first place? After this announcement from Raw Zebra, the community essentially erupted into flames. A lot of people are understandably absolutely furious. Not only that the game was taken down, but that it was taken down now, after its full release, while it has been in development for years. Plenty of game companies allow for fan games to exist online so long as they aren't receiving any profit from the game they're making, and The Lost Landscape does not receive any money from the game being played or downloaded. So why did Big Blue Bubble take it down? I mean, apart from the fact that in the terms of service, it states that you can't make any fan games with the official characters, but that aside, they should be able to see how much passion was put into this game. And generally, people consider My Singing Monsters to be a game that kind of, gives in to their fans a little bit. Lots of fan service. Fans in the past have designed monsters, they've designed decorations, and they do listen to their fans for the most part, so why now are they decided to turn against their fans and take down a long-waited for and very beloved fan game? Now really, there are actually some legal reasons behind this besides just, well, Big Blue Bubble did it because Big Blue Bubble can do it, and Big Blue Bubble corporate bad. Because a lot of the sentiment that I'm hearing online is that the Big Blue Bubble employees that we see, the community managers, the monster handlers, they aren't behind this. A lot of the sentiment going around right now is that it was Big Blue Bubble corporate and shareholders that caused this. And this is most likely true to some extent, as I highly doubt that the game devs and the monster handlers actually had any say in this. But the reason that corporate did this is a little bit more than just because they can and because bah humbug, I hate my fans. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about all of the drama behind stuff like Disney and Nintendo when it comes to fan projects and how volatile they really can be, going as far as to sue people for making fan games, and it's received a pretty bad reputation for that. And I'm not going to go and defend some of their actions because it's not necessary to sue your fans over a fan game. However, legally speaking, there is a reason why it's important that companies protect their IP and take down fan games that they haven't been made with permission. When you get ownership over a copyright, be it the name of a company, a game, or a character, the legal system will protect your ownership over this IP so long as you protect your own ownership as well. If you have ownership over something that is copyrighted, it is assumed that you will act as its owner. This includes the assumption that you will defend your copyright against people attempting to infringe on your rights. For example, if I made a game called Daniel's Workshop, and someone made something called Nathaniel's Workshop that was essentially a reskin of my own game, it's expected that I would send a cease and desist and get that game taken down. And if they fought it, then the legal system would protect me and take the game down if I could not have that done myself. In simple terms, you essentially have to show that you care about your copyright. And so if a bunch of people are making games that look like yours, are copies of yours, or infringe on your copyright and you just let them go, that's showing that you might not have as much ownership over your copyright as you claim you do, or that you may not care about your copyright very much. I'll give you an example, even though this is a little bit different, but it might help you understand a bit. So if you didn't already know, Adobe has put out a bunch of statements and all sorts of stupid stuff about how they don't want people using the word Photoshop as a verb. So essentially, they don't want people going around saying, oh, I Photoshopped this picture of a cat. I'm going to go Photoshop A, B, and C, when they're not actually using Photoshop. They'd rather you say, I used Adobe Photoshop in order to edit this image. Because if you're using the word Photoshop as a verb, a common verb, they risk losing the copyright over the word Photoshop because it is no longer a copyrightable word and is simply a layman's term. So essentially, Big Blue Bubble can lose the copyright over My Singing Monsters and their characters if people keep using them. Is this going to happen? No, absolutely not. One person making a fan game, 2 people making a fan game, heck, even 100 people making a fan game off of My Singing Monsters using their IP really isn't going to make them lose their copyright ownership. To my knowledge, that's actually pretty difficult to do. It's really difficult to make someone lose their IP over fan games and fan merch and all that sort of stuff. However, it does look from a legal standpoint pretty bad on their company if they aren't defending their IP. So that's most likely why they're doing it, is it looks good in the company, even if it doesn't look good for the fans. And it allows for them to essentially secure themselves legally to show that they are defending their own copyright so that it doesn't get taken away, hypothetically, even though that's not very likely to happen. Now, there are ways around this that we don't see very often. For example, Scott Cawthon in Five Nights at Freddy's created the Fanverse Initiative, which allowed a bunch of fans to make fan games legally without any risk to his IP. That didn't go very well anyways, but there are ways around it. You can license out your IP for other people to use for stuff like that, but Big Blue Bubble is most likely not going to hand that out for a random fan. The process is very complicated, very lengthy, very expensive, and the company most likely can't be bothered with that. Additionally, if Big Blue Bubble would allow Raw Zebra and their associates to continue to create the Lost Landscapes, that sets a precedent for them allowing fan games as a whole, and could allow for people to make less well-made fan games, or fan games that don't have the same vibe as the Lost Landscapes. I would say personally, in my opinion, the Lost Landscapes does an amazing job at being true to the source. It doesn't really distort My Singing Monsters in any ways, and honestly, you could have passed that off to me as canon, and if I was not as smart as I am, I could be like, oh yeah, that could totally be real. However, they're setting the precedent that they allow fan games, which could allow more people to make less high-quality fan games, or fan games that are in a different, inappropriate, or generally not My Singing Monsters friendly genre, which can tarnish the brand IP and can make My Singing Monsters look bad legally as well as socially, I guess. Generally, the whole thing is kind of a mess, and I don't like it. I don't think anyone's gonna like it, but there is a reason behind why they did it beyond just, hey, I do not like the Lost Landscapes. I don't want it around. They do have to defend their IP legally, and it just looks good for the company. There isn't really much that I think could be done. I know there's a hashtag going around, hashtag Save the Lost Landscapes, but that isn't going to get anywhere. Even if it did gain traction, Big Blue Bubble is entirely within their legal rights to do this. Not only are they within their rights, but this is probably something they should be doing to protect their company. And I kind of doubt that I'll hear anything from Big Blue Bubble. They might put out a statement, but I really don't think that they will. It was in their terms of service, so you would think that the team knew what they were getting into when they were making this project, because I would hope that they read the terms of service before making it. What I hope to see in the future is I hope to see them essentially put the game on hiatus and remove all of the My Singing Monsters official monsters, change the title to just The Lost Landscape or something along that lines, and just make their own game inspired by My Singing Monsters. That could pass pretty well, and that would take a long time, but I guess it kind of depends on what the team is willing to get themselves into. Either way, my heart goes out to them. And all I really ask from the community is to, not attack anyone. Obviously, don't attack Raw Zebra and the rest of them. But also, don't attack Big Blue Bubble employees. Yeah, they're a company. They're probably not going to be hurt by you calling them slurs online. but also that just doesn't look good on you. And if anything, it's really going to look bad on is Raw Zebra and the people behind the Lost Landscapes, to anyone really. All that Big Blue Bubble is going to see is that they took this guy's fan game down, and now all of this guy's fans are attacking them, which doesn't look good in the community and does not look good on the Lost Landscapes. So just try to keep your guys civil and just try to enjoy what you had. There are tons of uploads of the full songs on YouTube that you can still listen to and enjoy, and you can 100% support the other projects of the people behind the Lost Landscapes. And I encourage that you do so. In fact, the best thing that you can do right now is support the people behind the game and just wait to see what they have to say and support the future projects. That being said, thank you guys for watching my video, and I hope you have a little bit more understanding now on this whole situation and all the legal drama behind it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see y'all around.